How's it going, guys? Today, I'm going to be breaking down his Hollow Palm grades or his Hollow Palm bait for patch 0.3. Now, Hollow Palm is one of the more hot topics at patch 0.3, as there's a lot of hype going around it. There's a lot of skepticism on whether or not this is going to end up being good or not, and I'm going to give you all the reasons today why I think it's going to be good, why I don't think it's going to be good, what ascendancies are going to play it well, and my reasonings behind this. How are we going to scale this? I've gathered them up here in this Google Doc, and I'm going to break down every single reason why I think it's going to be good or why it won't be good. So what is Hollow Palm Technique? Hollow Palm Technique used to be a jewel that you would get in Path of Exile 1 that was really, really good for leveling through the campaign. It is now a keystone in Path of Exile 2. This is something that you will pick on the passive skill tree. What does it do? It makes you attack as though using a quarterstaff while both of your hand slots are empty. This means you won't have a weapon equipped in either of your slots, but you can still use quarterstaff attacks. Your unarmed attacks that would use your quarterstaff damage gain physical damage based on their skill level. This means the higher level of your skill gem, if it's Ice Strike, if it's Tempest Flurry, if it's Flicker Strike, the more physical damage that skill is going to gain. You will also gain 1% more attack speed per 25 item evasion rating on your equipped armor items. This means for every 25 evasion on all of your armor pieces, that's 1% more attack speed, which more is multiplicative, which is a lot more than additive. That is going to scale your attack speed to insane heights. You will also get 0.1% to your base critical hit chance per 10 item energy shield on all of your equipped armor items. This means for every 10 ES on your armor pieces, you will gain 0.1% to your base critical hit chance. This is going to be great for capping out your crit at 100% and just scaling it really well. So now that we know what Hollow Palm does, how can we scale it? What is this going to look like in an in-game setup? Hollow Palm now is going to be scaling based off of pretty much flat damage and EV and ES on your armor items. So here is an example if you were using a ES EV setup on what those increases would look like. So I took my body armor, pretty much all my armor items off my monk that I used in the previous league. I totaled its values up on these setups and I put them out here. So a ES EV setup, this is using a ES EV hybrid setup. This is a hybrid body armor and then pure evasion on everything else. You would net 118% more attack speed and then 5.25 to your base crit chance. Now, that's 5.25% to your existing 5%. So that would be a 10.25% base chance to hit. That's no increases from any sources. They did increase the base critical hit chance on unarmed attacks from 0 to 5%. This is probably for Hollow Palm. If you were using a pure ES setup, this is all energy shield items from my monk from last league, you could get around 17.5% to your base critical hit chance. This would net with that base percentage right there, a 22.5% chance to hit critical hits. That is going to let you cap your crit out at 100% very, very easily. So super good source right there if you just want to get that crit at 100%. And then if you ran a pure evasion setup, so you want to stack a whole bunch of attack speed, I gathered up a whole bunch of evasion pieces off my characters, and you got around 4,000 right here. So that's 164% more attack speed. That's multiplicative. That is a lot more attack speed. So expect you to be blitzing around the map with Tempest Flurry. Something else to note is that they are adding exceptional items in the 0.3 update. Now, what are exceptional items? Exceptional items are these new items that will pretty much allow you to get quality up to 30%, which that extra 10% is going to net a lot more damage, a lot more evasion rating, and a lot more energy shield on all of your pieces. And then you could also get an extra socket. This allows you to get 3 socket armor pieces pre-corruption. That's 4 sockets with a corruption. That's going to allow you to equip a lot more runes in there to increase your evasion or energy shield rating. This will allow you to scale this higher than the previous league. So these numbers are going to go up with these new exceptional bases. Now, how do you scale DPS of Hollow Palm? You're going to be looking for flat damage on your rings and your gloves. So on your on all of your rings, you're going to want like adds blank to blank fizz damage, adds blank to blank lightning and cold damage, fire. Anything that you can get is going to be useful on those rings there. And then same goes for your gloves. You're going to want to, like, on your gloves, go for attack speed, critical hit chance, crit damage bonus, and then flat damages. You could also go level of skill gem on your gauntlets. You can get a corrupt one. You could go extra sockets for more attack speed using the talismans. You could get the increased effect of rings from an Ingenuity belt or the Ritualist Ascendancy, or you could get the extra ring slot from the Ritualist Ascendancy, which I will talk about here in a little bit. You could also get plus level of skill gems from the gloves, the amulet. You can get +3 off amulet with no corrupt, +2 off gloves with no corrupt, and then +3 with Prism of Belief jewel, which is the jewel that drops from Arbiter. And then there's the ascendancies like the Gemling, which will net you +2 to all dex or int gems. And then you could also get your critical hit chance capped out and then scale critical damage bonus with the ascendancies like the Amazon or the Blood Mage. So those are your sources for increasing the damage on Hollow Palm. Let's jump into what ascendancies are going to be really effective at doing this. What classes are going to scale this well? For starters, the one that had a lot of hype behind it leading into 0.3 is the Gemling Legionnaire. And the reason why the Gemling was so popular is with quality stacking, you were able to achieve 100% to not consume charges on Flicker Strike. You would stack a whole bunch of items and skill gems and passive tree nodes that would net you would never consume your power charges on Flicker Strike, meaning you could spam it nonstop. I knew this wasn't going to fly. GGG changed the quality on Flicker Strike from 20% chance to not consume charges to 20% more damage per charge consumed. So that nonstop flicker is dead, but the damage on flicker has been increased massively. What else about the Gemling is appealing? You could get +2 level of gems on the Gemling by going with the Implanted Gems Ascendancy node. This would allow you to get either +2 level all skill gems with a dex, int, or strength requirement, and we know that the more levels on Hollow Palm, the more flat physical damage that you were going to get, so that would do that well. You could also go for +14% to quality of all skill gems. That's Crystalline Potential, plus the 2 small nodes leading to it. The more quality you get on your skills, typically the more damage, attack speed, chance to not consume charges, bonuses from charges, things like that improve. And then there's also the node right here called Integrated Efficiency, which will give you pretty much 20% increased critical hit chance per socketed blue support gem in a skill, 20% increased damage per socketed red support gem in a skill, and then 6% skill speed per green gem in a skill. This would allow you to scale 100% more critical hit chance, or 100% critical hit chance increase, 20% damage increase, and a 30% skill speed increase. So this is just a really good overall node to scale either crit, damage, or skill speed with Hollow Palm. Otherwise, you could stack quality elsewhere. The ways that you would stack quality more than just the ascendancy is you have the ascendancy, which is giving you 14%. You have the Fox Talisman, which this is the Fox Talisman. It goes in your body armor and 2% to quality of all skills. You then run a Warrior Invictus, which has 4 sockets at base, 5 sockets with Corrupt, and a 6 socket with Exceptional. So a 6 socket for 6 of those Fox Talismans. You then run the new Darkness Enthroned Belt, which has 2 sockets of it, and it has up to 100% increased effect of sockets, allowing you to get 8% more skill gem quality. And then there is a new passive tree node that gives you 5% to skill gem quality that they're adding in 0.3. And then there's a new support gem that will give you, it's a new exceptional, or not exceptional support gem, it's a new lineage support gem that will give you +1 level of all skills and 10% to quality of that skill. So that could net you a ton of more damage on Flicker Strike, because the new node being 20% more damage per charge consumed, that will get 4x, around 4x, maybe 5x, around there, meaning that you're seeing 80, I'd probably say 60 to 80, 90, maybe even 100% more damage per charge consumed. And that's a lot more whenever you're consuming 8 charges. I have a POB right here with it. This is the numbers that I'm reaching, and this is with base. This is not with quality being increased, and this is also including the nerfs to Infernal Cry. So with Gemling being able to get it up to like 560%, this is what 560% looks like. That's a lot of damage, but I'd also have to take out like things like Unbound Avatar. So I mean that is just a ridiculous amount of damage that you could scale on Flicker Strike, just as an FYI. So keep that in mind going forward with Gemling. The other things about Gemling is they have a new node that allows you to generate either power, endurance, or frenzy charges every 8 seconds based off the color of your support gem. And you can kind of mitigate mana consumption issues. They have a new node that will allow you to have 30% less cost of skills. So that way, even though you're stacking a whole bunch of attack speed, you won't be draining your mana as much. On the Gemling, due to the location, you can stack evasion and deflection well. Deflection is a new mechanic that gives you 40% DR, and you can still stack with this. So things like pure power, things like Falcon Technique, you'll be able to stack still on Gemling because they do have nodes that allow you to do that. I don't think that's necessarily the route you should go with this. I'm just saying that is still a possibility. The only downside to Gemling is the location of the skill tree and the no source of flat damage, which is fine because Gemling does a lot of things well, but it just kind of is disappointing that it starts out over here and has to go so far to get to a lot of these crit nodes and other nodes that are valuable for Flicker or for other quarterstaff skills. Next up is the Deadeye. The Deadeye is going to be one of the most popular ascendancies this go round. It's going to be the Amazon of this league. There's probably going to be anywhere from 40 to 60% of players playing Deadeye. Deadeye has Tailwind, which is probably one of the best ascendancy nodes in the game. Tailwind at max stacks will net you 30% skill speed, 10% movement speed, 150% evasion rating, and if you get Wind Ward, it's 3% less damage taken per Tailwind, which is 30% total damage resistance. Couple that with Deflection, which is 40% damage resistance. That's a lot of DR. Like, you can be really tanky with this ascendancy with that new setup. They also have the new mark setup on Deadeye. They reworked the mark skills to allow you to apply marks in an area around you with a meta skill. This is going to be really good because it bypasses the mark limit, meaning that you can apply multiple marks at the same time to like multiple targets. So you can have like 5-6+ marks at the same time. Use Sniper's Mark, which will give you frenzy charges on critical hits, and then you use Resonance, which will convert them to power charges, and boom, you have infinite levels of Flicker Strike, which is really good for Hollow Palm. So that is something to note on Deadeye. Otherwise, there is the new node that will give you 10 stacks of critical weakness whenever you consume a mark. This used to be 20. They nerfed this. Critical weakness will give you 0.5% to base critical hit per stack. So at 10 stacks, that is a 5% increase to your base critical hit chance. You should be able to pretty effectively stack up to 20, which is the maximum. So a 10% increase to base critical hit chance. That's super nice for capping your crit outs. The tree location for Deadeye is really good. You have access to a lot of evasion nodes, the new deflection nodes. You have the movement speed nodes in this area. You have a whole bunch of elemental pin right here and right here. You have just all the crit nodes. Like, a lot of the good nodes on the tree are situated in this part of the Deadeye tree. It scales EV and deflection well. You can stack ES if you branch out and get it. But the one downside is, no source of flat damage, no source of gem level, which is going to be vital for Hollow Palm. I'd probably say this is the second most popular, if not the most popular. It's the one that I had the highest hope for, is the Ritualist. The Ritualist is going to be really good for Hollow Palm because you get a extra ring from the Ascendancy, and an extra ring is more flat damage that you can get. It's also more stats, more resistances, everything that you want. You're getting an extra ring. There's also 25% increased effect of ring that is just going to make your rings have more flat damage, more stats, more resistances, and you can couple this with Ingenuity to increase this bonus further. Otherwise, there's Ritual Sacrifice, which Ritual Sacrifice has been consolidated from 4 Ascendancy nodes down to 2. So you'll get the bonus of, it used to be 4 nodes and 2 nodes now. And Ritual Sacrifice is going to allow you to use it on yourself or a rare monster and gain its modifiers for X amount of seconds. I think it's 20 seconds at base. I could be wrong. It might be higher than that. So that's just like free move speed, free damage, a slow bubble, something of that sort, extra resistances. The Ritualist can also scale its EV and deflection well due to its tree location, and it can stack ES decently if it wants to. The only downside is you don't really have a source of gem level on the Ascendancy. You have flat damage thanks to the extra ring and things like that, but no gem level, which I think will be fine. I think the Ritualist has the best hope for Hollow Palm, as I think flat damage is going to be the best way to make Hollow Palm work. Next up is going to be the Invoker. It's what I'm going to be playing, even though I don't think it's the best option. I think it's the easiest option. Invoker is going to give you an easy 200 plus 220 spirit, maybe even more than that with the Lead Me Through Grace Ascendancy. Lead Me Through Grace is going to give you more spirit based off the ES and EV on your body armor. You'll be stacking this anyways because you're stacking it for Hollow Palm effectiveness. Having a ton of spirit is useful because a lot of the spirit gems that you'll need for this are going to cost a lot. Cast on ailment, cast on crits, your heralds, your defensive support gem or defensive spirit gems like Wind Dancer, Convalescence, Ghost Dance. All those things require a lot of spirit. This is just the easiest way to get all that spirit. Unbound Avatar is a free 40% more elemental damage button. You just generate enough charge, you press a button for like 10 to 15 seconds, you have 40% more multiplicative elemental damage. You have Sunder My Enemies to ignore enemy elemental resistances, which is always valuable. As long as you're critting, you don't have to worry about pinning elemental resistances. It's pretty effective to generate charges with Profane Ritual and Cast on Ailment, which is it is the replacement. There's no more Cast on Freeze, Cast on Shock, Cast on Ignite. They've all been coupled into one gem now. It does cost 100 spirit, which is a lot. Or you go Cast on Crit, which will be 90 spirit because of its quality. And yeah, Profane Ritual to consume corpses for more power charges, for more Charge Staff, for more Flicker Strike. The tree location is optimal. I think the monk tree, the starting location, is one of the best in the game, if not the best in the game. You have access to ES, EV, elemental damage, crit damage, good gems, everything like that. Like, there's nothing wrong with the location of the Invoker. You can stack ES and EV easily. We can get deflection with this ascendancy, but the downside is we don't have a source of flat damage or gem level, which is the scariest part about Invoker. If Hollow Palm doesn't scale well, if you need flat damage to make it work, then the Invoker is not going to be a good source for it. Next up is the Acolyte of Chayula. I call it Chalupa, and the community calls it Chonk. This ascendancy has a lot of potential, but is going to come down to if volatility is going to be good. Now, what is volatility? Volatility is something that was added in 0.2 that wasn't really used because it's a trade-off. So volatility is something that you'll generate by either applying a elemental ailment or something of that sort. Volatility will detonate after 4 seconds after gaining it to deal 100 physical damage to you. That is the big drawback, is it damages you, but gives you 1% of damage as chaos damage for each volatility that was detonated. You can have up to 200 volatility, so that's 200% of damage as chaos damage. The downside was it done a lot of damage to you, but the new Chayula ascendancy, you won't take damage from volatility detonations anymore. So this completely gets rid of the downside of this and will allow you to stack a lot of chaos damage. Now, the big question is, will we be able to effectively generate enough volatility? The new Chayula ascendancy allows you to get 1 volatility per elemental ailment applied on a target. And you can always detonate volatility using Catharsis on a different skill. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Otherwise, the Chayula has 7% of damage as extra chaos for every flame of Chayula. You'll now be able to pick a certain color of one only that you want. So we'll go with the purple one to give you 77% of damage as extra chaos damage for 5 seconds up to 10 times. That's 70%. There's also the new quality effect on it that will increase the effect of the remnant. So we'll be able to get up to 50% plus an extra 15%. That's 65% increased effect of your flames, meaning way more chaos damage. And then lastly, there is Mantra of Destruction, which is a existing skill in the game that was very underutilized, I think, up until this point. Mantra of Destruction is a combo-based skill. You will hit a target and generate combo. It requires 10 combo to use. Whenever you use it, it will empower your next attack with a ton of extra chaos damage. At gem level 20, it's 41%. They might change that a little bit in patch 0.3. And it will also give you purple flames of Chayula for every enemy killed from that empowered attack. This will be nice for things like Flicker, for like Tempest Bell, Gathering Storm, Siphoning Strike. Use this before you use your big power-up skill to get a ton of extra chaos damage. So this, with all the extra chaos damage that we're already getting, should be a good combo for the Acolyte of Chayula. Otherwise, for the Chayula, the starting location is great on the tree. You can stack your ES and EV well, a lot of elemental damage. You can get elemental damage leech now with a new keystone, a lot of crits. It's a great starting location. The only problem with Chayula is you may struggle to get enough spirits and then get a good enough body armor with EV ES on it to to scale the effectiveness of Hollow Palm. We'll need more spirits because cast on element costing 100 spirits and then cast on crit being 90. Either of those options are expensive, and a source of spirit is on your body armor, so getting like a 50-60 spirit body armor that has good EVES and like resistances or attributes is going to be really expensive. So that's why I like Invoker over Chayula, but I would say if you have enough money, the Chayula could surely make this work. The other downside is there's just no source of flat damage or gem level, but I think the Chayula's big thing is you can get a lot of chaos damage, and there's not a lot of things in the game that have chaos resistance. So Chayula is a option. Lastly, these two ascendancies aren't really talked about much, but I want to throw them out there and kind of give people ideas for maybe some crazy buildcraft. We have the Amazon and the Blood Mage. Now, the Amazon is going to be useful because you can cap crits using one of its ascendancy nodes. That is going to be critical strike. Pretty much, it'll let you have a chance to hit over 100%. For every percent that is, I'll take 15% of that and apply it to your base critical hit chance. That was 25% before. They have nerfed it down to 15%, and this is up to a maximum of 150% chance to hit. So I think with the math, it nets, you can get at maximum 7.5% base chance to crit hit on top of that. So that's good for capping your crit out for having a 100% chance to crits. There is also the 50% more damage with open weakness, which open weakness is going to be predatory instinct. It will reveal weaknesses on rare and unique enemies, and you get 50% more damage with enemies with an open weakness. There is the skill speed also from it. There's in for the kill, you get 40% increased skill speed while an enemy with open weaknesses in your presence. This is also great for movement speed. And then there's the elemental infusions and the penetrate ascendancies, which unfortunately aren't useful with Hollow Palm. Elemental infusions only applies to non-melee projectile attacks, so we won't be able to get any bonus from it here. And then we won't be able to get any bonus from penetrate, which would give you added physical damage equal to 25% of the accuracy rating on your weapon. The only problem is we don't have a weapon, we only have these hands, and there's no plus accuracy on these hands, only plus damage on these hands. So sadly, we won't be able to benefit from that on the Amazon. There is Life Leech with Mystic Harvest, and why I say this is a good option is you can convert Life Leech to ES Leech with some stuff, with some uniques. They did nerf Eternal Youth, so this might be a good way to sustain ES. Elsewise, there's the Asmeri Brew for allowing you to recover your life with Life Flask and Mana Flask. You can recover your energy shield effectively using something like the Chevron Satchel, which will life recovery from Flask also applies to energy shield. So it'll allow you to heal your ES with both of your Flask, which is a good option since they have nerfed Eternal Youth to no longer do that. Otherwise, it can scale EV and deflection well because it's in a great spot. It can get ES if it needs to, but it just doesn't have any source of flat damage or gem level. So maybe there's a possibility that this works, but I don't think it's a great chance that happens. And then lastly, there's the Blood Mage, and I'm only talking about the Blood Mage because the Blood Mage always does some weird jank stuff every single time. The Blood Mage can stack a lot of critical damage bonus, and that is why I'm including it here. You can stack your life, which is always great for tankiness, by using the Crimson Power node to where you gain additional max life equal to 100% of the ES on your body armor, meaning if you have a 900 ES body armor, you're going to gain 900 more max life. And if you stack life on the Blood Mage, you will get 1% increased critical damage bonus per 50 life. It used to be 40. They've changed it in 0.3. It is now for every 50 life. So pretty much the idea for Blood Mage is stack a ton of life to be tanky, stack a ton of critical hit chance, and then stack a ton of critical damage bonus. And then the last thing that I want to combo with it is there is the Crown of Eyes. Now, since you'll be starting in the Spellcaster Witch area of the tree, the Crown of Eyes is a unique that any increases and reductions to spell damage will also apply to attacks, allowing you to increase your Hollow Palm damage with increases to spell damage. So maybe there's a world to where somebody branches out and makes this work somehow. I just wanted to throw it out there just in case anybody was thinking of doing some crazy Blood Mage scaling. There's a lot of ES, a lot of life that you can get with this, but the disadvantage is it's kind of off meta. It's kind of a big gamble. There's no source of flat damage or gem level. But if, Hollow Palm Blood Mage doesn't work out, you can just go play anything else on Blood Mage. It'll always be good. But yeah, that is all the ascendancies that I want to talk about. Here are some of the unknowns that could make this better or worse. We have nodes like Subterfuge Mask, Spectral Ward, Bestial Skin, and Stalking Panther. We don't know if this is going to contribute to the formula for Hollow Palm. As you know, we get 1% more attack speed per 25 EV, and we get 0.1% to base critical hit chance per 10 ES. And these nodes, like Stalking Panther, will double the evasion rating from your helmet, gloves, and boots. Will this apply after the Hollow Palm or before that? Like, will this make Hollow Palm's attack speed increases better? We don't know. Same goes for Bestial Skin, which is 100% increased evasion rating from body armor. Will this be before the Hollow Palm conversion or after? Same thing for Spectral Ward here. This will go on your body armor. And then we have Subterfuge Mask, which would go on your helmets. We don't know if that's going to apply. I have my doubts. I think Stalking Panther has the best chance that it applies, but we don't know yet. I was asking if GGG was going to nerf the Quality Talisman or Perpetual Charge. They actually ended up nerfing the Flicker Strike quality, because was GGG going to let 100% chance to not consume charges exist? No, we know that now. I knew that then. I knew they weren't going to allow that exist. I didn't know how they were going to nerf it, but yeah, they just ended up changing what quality gave you on Flicker Strike. So no more 100% chance to not consume charges. I ended up being correct here. And then will the Deadeye mark changes apply easily? We don't know if the new Deadeye Ascendancy thing that is applying marks around you, if it's going to be hard to activate, you know, is it going to apply a lot of marks? Like, we don't know. If it applies marks easily, we'll be able to generate a ton of frenzy charges, which will be converted into power charges, which will fuel Charge Staff and Flicker Strike. We don't know how easily it'll apply. If it applies easily, then it'll be a great node, but if it takes a lot of build up, then it may not be worth taking. And then lastly, I just want to talk about the pros and cons of Hollow Palm. Kind of what have we summarized from all that we've learned here. The pros of Hollow Palm is we have a ton of attack speed that we're going to be able to get from this. Like, you're going to be able to move and attack so fast with Hollow Palm. That might be somewhat of a saving grace for this. If it doesn't scale well, at least it'll be able to attack a ton of times per second. Crit cap is easily possible here. We'll be able to get a ton of critical hit chance off of this. So crit is a great way to scale damage in the game. So this is always a good thing. We don't have to worry about a quarterstaff when leveling or mapping. It's always a thing like, you know, let me upgrade my quarterstaff. You know, I got to spend a whole bunch of currency on a quarterstaff. You don't have to do that now. You just have to worry about, you know, punching things. You don't have to have a weapon equipped anymore, which saves you money, saves you time, saves you worry. Cool animations and playstyle, dude. It's just going to be fun to go around and punch stuff. Like, let's be honest here. We're going to be zooming around, looking cool. Whether or not it actually does damage, I don't care. I'm going to have fun with it. And then multiple classes can play it. Luckily, it's a Keystone and not a like martial artist ascendancy node. Multiple classes can play it, so anybody can do it. There's going to be some cool builds that come out with it, hopefully, as long as it does well. And then what are the cons? I think the biggest con is we don't know how well it's going to scale, and that we don't have a stat stake. We don't have a quarterstaff, and a quarterstaff is a big source of +7 level gem level, a big source of flat damage, a big source of increased elemental damage with attacks, a big source of critical hit chance and crit damage bonus. There's the sockets on the staff. Like, we don't have sockets, we don't have stats from it. You know, that's a really big drawback. So we'll have to see how that pans out. There's going to be a lot of mana consumption with you attacking so fast and using your skills so often. You're going to drain your mana. Like, if you're scaling this with, you know, a ton of plus gem level and a ton of attack speed, like, you're going to drain your mana. We're going to have to manage our mana somehow. And then, yeah, the unknown damage scaling values, we don't know how well it's going to scale. Like, we have no idea. So hopefully it scales well, but we don't really know yet. And then we can't use other weapons from other classes to weapon set swap, which that really hurts, because we can't benefit from the focus that we used last league that lets you apply critical weakness with spells. We can't use that anymore. There's no more scepter swapping for sacrifice to generate power charges in boss fights. We'll have to generate charges otherwise in boss fights, probably with like a manual sniper's mark or a sniper's mark and hand a chayula with resonance. Like, it's going to be hard to get some of these multi weapon benefits that we would abuse otherwise on monk. So we just don't really know how this is going to pan out. But that is my kind of analysis on Hollow Palm. You know, Do I think it's bait? I think it has a really good chance to be bait. Like, this is either going to be busted or it's going to be buns. I'm going to be there regardless. I'm going to be using it. I'm league starting it. I don't care if it's good or bad. I will be going Hollow Palm. I hope that it's good because it's got a lot of hype and a lot of people are going to be mad, including me, if it's just completely garbage. But it might also just be busted and then the whole community is going to go up in flames about it being the most broken thing in the game. So we'll just have to see how it pans out. Hopefully it turns out well. I'm hoping for the best. I'm league starting it regardless. I hope you guys will jump along and kind of hop on the hype train for it. But yeah, that is my analysis for Hollow Palm. If you guys made it to this point, I appreciate you watching. And I'm going to be league starting this. Come watch me on my Twitch do this. And yeah, I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you in the next one. Y'all take care.